I feel like so many times lately that I've gone live, it's been like so spaced out. And I always start with, it's been so long since I did this, but like, really, it's been a really long time since I did an Instagram live. And I'm so excited to be back. Like, in hindsight, looking at myself, it's almost laughable the amount of times that I've made like a firm decision. This is like my fixed energy, like my sun in Taurus and my Mercury in Taurus, being like, no, I'm making this decision and like I'm sticking with it. And like so many times I've been like, I'm getting rid of Instagram. And this is how I was like 2 months ago before my Instagram break. I was like, I'm never joining Instagram again. I'm never getting on Instagram again. But I just needed some time away to really like reawaken why I'm on this platform. And it's not to scroll or like consume other people's content, which is kind of like how I've used Instagram in the past. It's to create on here and to share my wisdom and knowledge with you and to help you freaking find like consolation and validation and confirmation in what's going on right now, and how you can use the lens of astrology and the knowledge of the stars to find that and to find some peace and solace in what's going on right now. So I'm going to start doing transit updates whenever I feel called. I'm a manifesting generator in human design, so I do things as I feel called and as they light me up, which Instagram right now is lighting me up. So I'm going to continue to do that and show up on here and not make promises on myself or put expectations on myself to be consistent or to always remain the same, because as a manifesting generator, that's not what we're here to do. So the transits of today, I'll also be pulling some cards from one of my favorite decks for you guys. And I'll also be posting these replays to YouTube as well as my IGTV. So if you miss any of this, that's where you can find it. And yeah, subscribe to me on YouTube for more updates and more ways to understand astrology and how you can relate it to your own chart. I'll be posting new videos every Tuesday and Friday. And like I said, going on here as much as live on here as much as I feel called to, and sharing on here as much as I feel called to. But I'm no longer forcing myself to show up here in a certain way or a certain number of times or any of that bullshit that I feel like is kind of like projected onto people that are wanting to share their light and wanting to share their story on these platforms. Is like, you have to do it this way, you have to do it that way, and like, it's like, no, you get to do it however you want to do it, you get to show up however you want to, and that is what is going to be successful for you, because you're living in alignment with your energetic signature. So without further ado, the transits of today, there's so much going on. I could probably make this like 2-hour long video, but I will keep it short for the sake of my energy and for the sake of yours as well and your time management. To start, there's a grand fire trine right now between the South Node and I'm looking at my laptop because that is where I have the current chart pulled up, which I'll actually rearrange some things. I'm also a 1-3 in human design, so trial and error is my middle name. All right, so here we go. There's a grand fire trine right now in the sky, not concerning, but including the South Node and Sagittarius, the Chiron in Aries, and Mars and Venus in Leo right now. So it's basically forming like a big triangle in the sky between all of the fire signs. And what this creates is a harmonious connection between all the fire signs, which is like the energy of fire, is passionate, is bold, is confident. I'm showing up on live right now. That is like a very fire sign thing. Is just taking action towards things. And that's like what we're feeling this week. And this has been going on for the last 4 or 5 days. This is something I touched on too in my most recent Astro vlog, which you can find the link to in my bio through my, it's on my YouTube channel, so you can subscribe to my channel there and find my most recent, trying to talk too fast as a manifesting generator, my most recent astrology vlog, where I take you through a day in my life and also tie in the astrology transits of the day. So I talk more about this transit specifically in that video, which you can find again through the link in my bio and on my YouTube channel. But to sum it up nice and pretty here, a fire trine just causes us to take action. And since this is including the South Node and Sagittarius, this is asking for us to release our old belief systems and take action towards our healing so that we can call in and attract what we really want to be taking action towards and what we really want to be having in our lives and what we want to be creating that is in line with our desires and not conditioning that we have been subjected to from our past experiences. So that's kind of like the big energy of right now and this like whole week really, which I'll also be going, I'm hosting a clubhouse room tomorrow at 3 p.m. Hawaii time, 9 p.m. Eastern time, and you can find that on my clubhouse bio. If you're not on Clubhouse, DM me and I'll send you an invitation to join. It is one of the best social media apps I have like just come to love and be really passionate about sharing on. So find me over on Clubhouse for more content from me, and I'll be sharing tomorrow at 8 p.m. Eastern time a current transit weekly update for the whole week and this next week, the week that we're moving into from Wednesday to Wednesday, since tomorrow is Wednesday. And I'll also be co-creating with some my friends Crystal and Leah, who are specialized in human design. So we'll be blending human design and astrology to give you a transit update for the week, and that'll be tomorrow. But for today, like I said, we have this fire trine going on, and we also have Mercury. This is a very just indicative of this transit right now. Mercury is squaring Neptune, and Neptune is in retrograde, so it's appearing to be spinning in a backward motion, which causes a kind of like what's the word, a shift, like a regression of that energy. So Neptune represents our spirituality, it represents our freedom, our self-expression, and when it's in retrograde, those things kind of like slow down and we kind of take them internally as opposed to like expressing them externally, if that makes sense. So with this transit, Mercury squaring Neptune today, there's a lot of like frantic energy. There's a lot of like in a square, if you're not familiar with the aspects, a square aspect is a hard or challenging aspect. So when two planets are relating in this way, making a square to each other, it's a really challenging, there's a lot of friction, there's a lot of tension in the sky and with these two energies. So Mercury represents our communication, our thinking, our perception, and Neptune, again, represents our spirituality, and it also represents like how things flow, and it also represents the dream space. So like I woke up today with the most vivid dream I think I've had in such a long time, and this is really, again, a kind of indication of this transit is Mercury squaring Neptune and kind of creating this like friction for us to look at our perception of things. And a lot of times that's presented to us through our dream space, which is Neptunian energy. And really how like we need to shift and where through like challenges and like lessons and this kind of tension and friction, we can kind of learn to reassess, learn to kind of move in a different direction and realign ourselves with, again, what we really desire and what we really want to create. So this transit can also cause a lot of issues with technology. It can cause a lot of issues, and Mercury is just coming out of retrograde. So there's still a little bit of this like shadow and residue of Mercury retrograde. It can cause a lot of car issues. Like I have been, so many friends that I've spoken to recently are like, oh, like my really good friend just got in a car accident. She's okay, thank God. But like just things like that happening with like cars and technology and just feeling like really weird and spacey, and almost also feeling like you can't form words for things or things aren't coming through as clearly. Like it's almost like you're in this like dream state and you don't really know if you're like awake or not. That's kind of what this transit causes. It causes a lot of frantic energy, a lot of like, I'm just visualizing like the white noise screen on like a TV, and that's kind of like how this energy feels to me, and kind of what it can cause too in the collective space as well. So it's just causing a lot of like franticness, a lot of chaoticness, and a lot of like discord and tension, and like it can also cause like a feeling of like being disconnected from the higher self, or a feeling of like being disconnected from like your spirituality. And so it's a really important time to stay dedicated to your spiritual practices and making sure that you're creating space and time to like have that for yourself and to be able to harness that. Like the dream I said I had this morning like really sent me into a spiral. It like just like jolted me. I woke up and just felt like I was still in the dream. It was such a weird, and I haven't had that happen for a long time, but that's like kind of what this transit again causes, is things like this happening. And it kind of like shook my day. Like I like have been really good about my morning routine recently and like really on it, and like this morning that just like shook up my whole day and kind of caused this like spiral of events, and now the day's like almost over and I'm like, oh wow, I didn't really do anything that I like intended to do to create space for myself and my spiritual practice. So very important to like be aware of these things, not be hard on yourself for them, because there's no such thing as perfection. but just to like reassess and to be aware, okay, I didn't do this because of this. Like, how can I still like create space for myself in the ways that I need to kind of be able to practice these things? And how can I move forward with this information and do it better in the future? So that's kind of like what the lessons of today bring us, and that transit specifically, Mercury squaring Neptune in retrograde, is what it brings us. And yeah, I feel complete with that Mercury squaring Neptune transit update. We also have the Sun sextiling Uranus right now, which is bringing a lot of like sudden changes and unexpected shifts and transformations to the way that we're relating ourselves, the way that our ego is showing up, the way that we're like presenting ourselves to the world, and really the how our core values are shifting. We're starting to kind of look at the things that need to be changed about ourselves and the way that we're expressing ourselves. And this is kind of like an inward reflection that's causing us then causing us to kind of like notice this and then be like, oh, okay, this is how I can shift this. This is what I need. Again, Neptune retrograde in Pisces, like what do you really need to align with your spiritual practice, to align with your higher self? How can you check in with those things and your needs around those things more often? So that's kind of what this transit is bringing us. And also it's with the grand fire trine we have in the sky, it's like the most harmonious time to take action towards these things, like not just being aware of them. Awareness is the first step, but knowledge without application is kind of useless. Like, why are we accumulating knowledge in the first place if we're not going to apply it? So this is a really great time to apply what you're learning right now and really start to kind of ask yourself how you can take action towards the things that you're learning and that are being brought to the surface for you. We also have, what's the other transit I wanted to touch? Oh, the moon right now is in Gemini and it's on the north node. So what's coming up in terms of like our subconscious, our mental capacity and space, and our emotions, and how we're relating to our emotions, and how we're like assessing our emotions and becoming aware of our emotions, is really calling us towards our destiny, and really calling us to align with our destiny. And again, what I was saying with this grand fire trine involving Venus, this is asking us, what do we really desire and how can we align with it? How can we take action towards it? How can we communicate it to ourselves and to others to really be able to create that? What we speak is what, words are called spelling. You learn spelling in school for a reason, because we're spelling with our words. Like, we're literally words, and what we say and what we communicate, what we think, and then in turn communicate, creates a spell. And whatever you're saying to yourself and repeating to yourself and repeating to other people all day is what you're literally creating. And so right now it's really important to kind of look at what you're feeling around these things, and like what you're feeling into, and how that then in turn is creating your thought processes, creating what you're communicating, and creating the reality that you're experiencing based on all those things. So that's what kind of this, and as the moon moves and goes over Mercury, this will just be even more highlighted, and we'll really start to kind of see how, again, we need to take action towards what we learned during the Mercury retrograde period. And that was a really long Mercury retrograde. So what all did you learn from that, and how can you take action towards that now in order to really create the new reality that you want for yourself and be able to have it? So I feel like those are all the transits I really wanted to. We also have Venus and Mars and Leo opposing Saturn right now. And Saturn is in retrograde. So again, when a planet is in retrograde, it's really calling for us. And this is something I touch on my blog, and you can read more about this retrograde season and what retrogrades mean, and what this season really has in store for us based on these retrogrades, more on my blog at understandastrology.me. All the links are in my bio, as always. But so with Saturn being in retrograde, it's really causing for us to take a look at and reassess our discipline and how we're showing up, and how we're staying committed to what we desire to create. Again, what are you committed to? You could be committed to scrolling on Instagram. You could be committed to, numbing out with alcohol. You could be committed to, numbing out with watching like YouTube videos, or, there's so many ways that we commit ourselves to things, and then we tell the story, oh, I don't have time to commit to this other thing because I'm too committed to this, when we don't even realize like we can change our commitments. So that's really what this Saturn retrograde period is calling for us to do. And right now, especially as it's in the sign of Pisces, how can you really change the way that you're committing to yourself, your feelings, and your spiritual practices? Again, just this big theme of really committing to your spiritual practices and yourself, because that is then in turn is what is going to create your reality and what you experience in your day-to-day life. And with the opposition here, so an opposition is when a planet is in, two planets are in opposite signs from each other. So we have Saturn in Aquarius, and we have Venus and Mars in Leo, and those are opposite signs, so they're sister signs. And I also talk about all this terminology. If you're like not familiar with the language of astrology, I put together a guide and manual called Learn the Language of Astrology and Human Design. It includes, I collaborated on this with some friends, and they did the human design portion, I did the astrology portion, and it really teaches you the language of astrology and the terminology that we use in these two modalities so that you can really understand what the fuck I'm talking about and how to understand your unique chart as well, and take that understanding to apply it to the charts of other people and really have more compassion and peace about your own life and the lives of others based on these two modalities. And really, it's just everything you need to understand astrology and human design and really how to apply it to your own life. Anyway, just got off on a tangent about that because I just created it and I'm super passionate about it, and want everyone to have it because I wish I had this guide and manual when I was learning about astrology. It's seriously like an all-in-one, super detailed, in a simple way, really easy to digest and understand book on how to really, again, learn the language of astrology and human design. So check that out. The link is in my bio if you're interested. And yeah, we'll also be creating more editions and adding more terminology as we kind of keep creating and keep reassessing what needs to be added and hear feedback from you guys, of course. We'll be adding more things to it. So be on the lookout for a second edition if you already purchased yours. What was I? Oh yeah, I was talking about Leo and being opposition of Aquarius right now. So we have Venus, that is a manifesting generator, myself trying to talk too fast. Venus is in Leo right now, opposing Saturn, and Mars is right there next to Venus as well. I believe Venus and Mars will be at the exact same degrees, which is a conjunction, next week, I believe on the 10th or the 11th. But until then, oh yeah, that's this weekend. Wow, July is flying by. Anyways, so with the opposition of Saturn and these two planets right now, it's really calling for us to, again, reassess, and this is just like a big theme that's coming up right now, is like to reassess like what you're disciplined towards, what you're committed to, and how that's creating and attracting things into your life. And you know, whether or not it's based on what you really desire to create or not is up to you, and how you're perceiving all the things that are happening to you as well. But really, this is like causing and calling for you and us as a collective to take action towards what we desire. You get to have whatever you want. It's so funny, this is coming up right now because I had a conversation yesterday with a friend and she was like, oh, do you want to do this thing with me? And I was like, I don't know, because of this and like this and like, I don't know. And she was like, you can literally do whatever you want, man. Like, you know? And I was like, oh. And I was thinking like, oh, because she invited me, like I kind of want to go. And then I was like, oh, but I don't know if it's actually like aligned for me. And so it's like, just the message to reinforce to you is you can do whatever you want. Literally, you can do whatever the fuck you want. If you want to quit your job and become an airline pilot, or you want to go like fly to Mars, or you want to learn how to scuba dive and like be a scuba, you can do whatever you fucking want. Like, it doesn't matter. There are no limitations except for the ones that you impose on yourself. So how can you think outside of your current limitations and really allow yourself to dream? Again, Neptune retrograde in Pisces. How can you allow yourself to dream and create that reality and align your mental thinking, your perception, your mental thinking, and your communication with that reality as if it's already here? And that is what will bring it into you. That is the law of attraction at the very basics of law of attraction is like attracts like, and what you're thinking, what you're feeling, thinking, and speaking about what you want is what you're creating. So what do you want to be creating? Because whatever you're talking about, whatever you're thinking about on a day-to-day basis, like seconds, minutes, hours, like throughout your day, is what you are creating. Whether or not it happens instantly or it takes a year or so to create, it's still being created. Like a year ago, I was living out of my car. I didn't have a home to go back to, but I was still telling myself like, yes, one day I will have my own place. One day I will be in my own place, and I will be sharing my gifts with the world, and I will be doing what I want to do, and like be supported in that. And here it is. Like, yes, it took a year and so much that has happened that I'll probably go into some point in detail, but it's here because I was talking about it and because I was committed to that reality, and I didn't let myself deter from that vision and that goal that I had to create that. And that's what these transits are really calling for us to do right now. And yes, it feels really crazy because we're in a time of transition. July is a month. June was a huge month of transition. And now that we're in July, we're really starting to see, okay, shit, we're transitioning. What were the things that I was scared to let go of that are now coming back and like biting me in the ass because I didn't let go of them and causing more friction? Like, we're meant to follow the path of least resistance as human beings. Things are meant to be easy for us here. They are meant to be easy. We're meant to follow the path of least resistance. And whatever you're doing that's going against the grain of your alignment and your energetic signature is going to get challenging. It's going to make things hard for you. If you're not following your gut, if you're not following your feelings and your intuition, things are going to get really fucking hard and challenging for you, because this, again, is a time of transition. And if you're not transitioning into your highest, which is ease and the path of least resistance, then you're going to meet a lot of resistance, because again, we're here to follow ease, and our energetic signature, our feelings, our intuition lead us toward that. And our mental capacity, our ego, leads us away from that. And if you're giving more weight to your mental capacity or your conditioning or what your ego is trying to tell you and keep you from, and how fear is trying to run your life, then yes, things will get really fucking hard for you, because you're not listening to your intuition. You're listening to your mind and your mental capacity, which just only knows what it has been conditioned to believe. So it's time to trust our intuition and our feeling and lead from that place of trusting what we know to be true, even if it doesn't fucking make sense to our mind or it doesn't make sense to anyone around us. It's time to trust that. It didn't make sense for me to like just up and book a one-way ticket to Hawaii. It didn't make sense for me to move to Colorado and drop out of college 7 years ago, but I was led to follow that guidance that my intuition was telling me, hey, things are getting really hard, and it's because you're not listening to me. And things got so much easier when I really listened and when I really followed the intuition and the things that I knew to be true that I was just kind of like scared of listening to or acknowledging because of my conditioning telling me I have to graduate from college and I have to work a 9 to 5 and I have to do this. Like, no, it's fucking bullshit. What is your inner guidance system telling you? That's what you're meant to do. So follow it. And it's a perfect time with everything in the sky right now, making sure that you take action towards that, or else things are going to get real difficult real fast because again, you're operating from a place out of alignment, outside of your energetic signature, which is going to cause things to get really hard. So that is my spiel of my energetic update and transit update for today, on the 6th of July, whenever you're watching this. This is for Tuesday, the 6th of July, and I will also touch on tomorrow a little bit too, because I won't be doing one of these tomorrow. So the moon, again, like I was saying a little bit earlier, the moon is moving through Gemini right now. So if you have anything in Gemini, this is really causing for you to look at this and feel the things that you that you have in Gemini, the lessons, the planets, and the house, the area of your life, kind of how you can apply this to your own chart in that way. But anyways, the moon is moving through Gemini, and it will be conjunct with Mercury tomorrow. So it will be moving on top of Mercury, which again will be causing us, I touched on this a little bit earlier, so if you're just hopping on this, make sure to watch the replay. But it'll be calling for us to, again, look at our perception, our mental capacities, and our emotions, and how we're all creating from those places and what we really want to be creating instead of like what we've just been conditioned to think we can create. What else will be going on tomorrow? Really not much is changing. Mercury won't be squaring Neptune as hard, so this kind of like frantic energy will be getting a kind of like relief there. Tomorrow just kind of feels lighter overall. And Saturn will be at 11 degrees Aquarius, which is going to be causing for us to really, again, this is the degree of Aquarius, so it'll be causing for us to innovate. Not causing, but calling for us to make innovations to the way that we've been, again, committed to the things in our life, and how we need to reassess and realign with the truth that is inside of us instead of the knowledge and the truths that people are projecting onto us. So that's what this Saturn moving backwards in Aquarius kind of has in store for us. Venus will be moving closer to Mars, kind of again, creating this need to take action towards what we actually desire, as opposed to just taking action from a place of our conditioning and what we believe to be true. And this is, again, there's a big theme of this week, which I'll be touching on more in my Clubhouse room tomorrow. So make sure to join for that, and just join Clubhouse in general if you're not already. It's an amazing app and an amazing platform to meet like-minded people and just learn about so many different cool topics and interests. And I'm really active on that platform. So you can follow along with more of my journey there as well. The sun will be at 16 degrees Cancer tomorrow, which is the degree of Cancer, so it'll probably be a pretty emotional day tomorrow. Try not to intellectualize your emotions, since the moon is in Gemini on Mercury. We'll be feeling like this kind of like friction between feeling into our emotions and wanting to like intellectualize them and think our way through them, which is, it never works. So just like create space tomorrow and support for yourself to like nurture yourself through whatever emotions are coming up. And again, this grand fire trine is really calling for us to release a lot of the old belief systems that no longer resonate with our soul as we move into a new paradigm and really transition into a new phase of our lives. So this is what this time is really about. So yeah, I feel complete with all of that. Oh, Pluto, this is something that wants to be spoken to. Pluto will be squaring Mercury tomorrow. So I was talking about Neptune is, wait, sorry. No, it won't be squaring it. It'll be quantisextile, which is not a very prominent transit. But Pluto is at the exact same degrees as Mercury tomorrow, so these emotions that are going to be brought up tomorrow will kind of walk us through an intense transformation. So be prepared for that, and again, create space for yourself to feel any emotions that come up, or any like any conflicts that happen with people and relationships. And again, this all depends on where this hits in your chart. What house sits in for you will impact the area of life that this is causing for you. But just be aware of anything that comes up through confrontation or through conversations with people, and like what that is calling you and prompting you to feel, and make sure to create space for yourself to feel through that and not get reactive or not take out those emotions on others. So that's an important theme for tomorrow as well. And I hope to see you in my Clubhouse. I am going to pull a card to end off this like transit update for today and tomorrow. Thank you for joining me and for being here and listening to what I have to say. I appreciate it. And one just fell out, so let's see what it has to say. Ooh, this is the Ace of Fire, which this is the what is this deck called? Dreams of Gaia is what this deck is called. And the Ace of Fire is kind of, instead of the like wands or like in other tarot decks how they use wands, cups, they're not all coming to me right now. Mercury squaring Neptune. But this deck uses the elements, and it's kind of like an earthly feel. So this is the Ace of Wands, or the Ace of Fire, which again is really calling for us to take action towards what we know to be true. And spiders represent knowledge and wisdom, and really creating our own realities, spinning our own webs. So what are you choosing to create, and how are you choosing to take action towards that? And I feel like this is just reinforcing everything I've said this whole time, is like, it's time right now to take action towards what you feel in your soul needs to be taken action towards, and what you know to be true needs to be believed in. It needs to have weight behind it. It needs to have passion and boldness and bravery behind it, the fire attributes. So, yeah, what do you need to take action on right now, and how can you do that? That is what I'm going to leave you with today. Thank you for joining me. I love you. And until next time, blessings.